Hey guys, Akil Stokes here. Welcome back to another episode of Midweek Markup. And today I'm going to share some footage from our live trading room, which just shut down a few minutes ago, and a discussion that we had on directional bias. Should we use it? Shouldn't we use it? When to use it? When not to use it? I think it's going to bring value to a lot of you guys out there who are more focused on the what, not the where, meaning focused on learning patterns, but not necessarily how those patterns work within the overall analysis. So I hope that you do get something out of this video. If you do me a favor, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe if you're new. That helps me grow the channel. I'm trying to get 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so spreading the word about this video helps as well. All right, hope you guys enjoy. Is this the one you're looking at? All right, so gold bat. So here's the first thing that this will help, right? The potential gold bat should have zero effect on your directional bias, right? The fact that there's a potential bat there doesn't tell us that the market is likely to go bullish or bearish. So that's the first thing, right? We got to understand that, right? Because we have a potential bat, does this mean the market's going to go bearish? Not at all. Nope. If it did, we would sell it right now. So the gold bat it has nothing to do with our directional bias. The only thing that the bat tells us is the bat tells us that if we get down to that level, and I loosely drew it on, all it tells us that if we get down to that level, then we can look for a buying opportunity. All right, does that make sense? It doesn't tell us that price is likely to go to that level. There's something else that does, but not the bat. So that wouldn't contradict us. What would be a contradiction is if we came down here to the bat completion. Let me just draw this bat on exactly how it should be drawn, right? Oh, look at that. I wasn't too far off. Oh, it's like I've been doing these things for a while, right? So what would be a contradiction? Maybe this. If we came down here, and then the bat completed, how would this be? Oh, and then we put in a bull flag or a bear flag. So this would be a contradiction, because now you have a filled bat pattern, which would mean a bullish bias, but you would have a flag pattern that would give us a bearish bias. So you'd have a contradiction there, but you actually wouldn't have a contradiction. Because if you're a bat pattern trader, you would already be involved in the bat before the flag occurred. And you should have a rule that says, well, a rule that probably says what I'm trading first, or if I'm in a trade, I stay in that trade until it's completed, or some type of rule for how you bail, right? Secondly, as Orsi mentioned, right? If one of them doesn't occur on a time frame you can actually trade, then it doesn't make a difference. But that's going to be the part if you're gonna have. So here's another example, right? Another contradiction you can look at. So we recently had this, right? We recently had a break and close below the B leg of the bat pattern, right? Yet, if you're looking at this as a bull flag, well, all of a sudden your IPDE says bearish. This is just a pullback, right? Into a potential move lower. But then the flag pattern is saying bullish, right? So then is that a good example of like the contradiction, Mia? Like, your IPDE is saying bearish, but your specific pattern is saying bullish. Yeah. So the question is this: when it comes to flags and pennants or triangles, whatever it may be, are you trading them like advanced patterns, where you're just trading the pattern no matter what, or does the pattern have to agree with your overall analysis? That's going to be the question. So like advanced patterns, for example, most people that trade advanced patterns They don't do any type of overall analysis to support them. It's just like, hey, I have a bat pattern here. I don't care whether it's bullish or the market's bullish or bearish. I'm taking the bat. So they're trading the pattern only, right? If you're gonna trade flags like that, then the overall analysis doesn't make a difference. You're just looking for the specific flag, pennant, whatever it is, and you're trading it as is. If it needs to complement or work within your overall analysis, then you'd have to pass on this situation because your overall analysis says look bearish, the flag is bullish, doesn't agree, therefore you'd have to pass on it. So the main question that you'll have to answer is, do you want to trade them outright? They are what they are, or do they need to fit within your overall analysis of the market? That is the question. So in a way, I should hide the bat before it completes? No, you can draw the bat on there. You just have to understand the bat doesn't play any role in anything else that's happening on the chart. Like this bat means absolutely nothing. So if I drew this bat on, right, this doesn't give me any relevant information about anything. Aside from if we get to the decompletion, I want to be a buyer. Aside from that, like it doesn't, the presence of the bat pattern, right? Does it give us any prediction? Right? Is there anything in the presence of a potential, big word, potential bat, does that give us any information about the market? It doesn't. I think you're assuming that because we have a potential bat, it means that the bat has to complete, right? Is that kind of where the thoughts are? That we're going to complete to D? And that's just not true. Yeah, there's nothing that tells us that we're likely to complete till D. Now, the fact that we broke the close below structure here, that would give me a clue that we're likely to continue lower. And the presence of the bat pattern would tell me if we're likely to continue lower, then this is the level that we're likely to continue lower to, right? So it gives me a destination. But the bat pattern in itself, right? The bat pattern in its own right, that doesn't give me any information about price being more or less likely to continue to this level. So I think you don't have to hide the bat. You just have to you just have to not give it more power than it deserves. It doesn't play any role in our predictive analysis aside from a future location if price were to go in that direction, but it doesn't necessarily give us a bias that price is likely to go in that direction. It only gives us a bias once that D is completed. Then we can say, hey, we're more likely to go up versus down. But I would, if anything, I would take into account the violation of structure. That would give you a much clearer sign or predictive measure than the bat pattern. Yeah. That's a good way to think about it. Where she says, if you didn't know about the bat pattern, would it affect your analysis? Now, with flags and pennants, you don't have to have an answer now, but like I mentioned before, you got to think about how do you want to use them. Do you want to trade them outright, or do they need to align with your analysis? That's going to be an extremely important question. And you don't have to have an answer now, but that's something that you need to write down and be sure to think about for the future. Because that will make a massive difference between what you trade and what you don't trade, your hit rates and all that fun stuff. Yeah, and like I said, that's part of the journey. Write it down, revisit it later. Say, hey, I'm going to keep learning about these things as I make observations, right? It's funny when you spend time. We were talking about in the Q&A yesterday. We were talking about a trader who was Jack, right? We were talking about cipher patterns and identification, and a lot of you guys caught on to the fact that he started back testing something before he was able to really master, in quotes, identifying it, right? And we had the whole discussion, right, that said, well, you probably don't want to back test until you've trained your eyes to see it, because when you back test, you're going to be seeing things now that you probably won't see later, and then all your data and your stats will be skewed, right? So you want to spend that time of just observation, right? You want to spend just, go through the same backtesting process, but you don't need to do the data collection. Just kind of train your eyes. And what you're going to notice Mia, as you continue to educate yourself on the patterns, right? And again, Orsi says George is trading them. That is a great source to talk to as well. I would highly 101% recommend reaching out and say, hey, I'm interested in these breakout patterns. Any advice that you have? You've been through this journey already. Just things that's going to help my learning curve. I think you'd be a fool not to reach out to someone like that. But as you go through the journey, start taking notes, right? Start noticing things. You're going to gain experience. Start asking the same questions you did right now, where it's like, we have this, but this, did that have an effect on it, right? And just start making these observations, right? Because nothing is going to beat that experience. And I guarantee, right, when you do that, you're going to see repetitive patterns. You're going to see multiple opportunities where you're like, that looks familiar, and you'll go back to a screenshot and you'll be like, this one broke structure, and that's, okay. And then maybe that becomes a rule. Maybe, okay, we need to break structure. Pay attention to that. Or you can do kind of like the grading system thing, where you can still trade all of them, but ones that don't break structure or ones that aren't in line with your overall analysis, maybe you trade half position, half contract on those. Ones that work with your analysis, full position, right? But yeah, just pay attention to stuff. Pay attention to stuff. Write it down. It will come in handy later. Trust me, it always does. It always does. Good stuff.